With only 5 days until the election, here today on Halloween, we're going to discuss all the latest polls for this conclusive 2024 election prediction. And we're also going to talk about the Rasmussen poll, the final poll they're ever going to have for this election cycle. Let's get into it. Here on the right of the screen, you'll notice that I have more or less what I dictate to be the final result for the 24 election. Now, let me explain how we got here. So, first and foremost, understand that again, Joe Biden dropped out and gave Kamala this opening to really blossom into her own career politician role as somebody who could be at the same time, well experienced 60-year-old woman, but then also be 20 years younger than Trump. And she failed to really capitalize on this mold, but in fact made herself out to be what she actually is, which is somebody who is in over her head in every sense of the term. And while she gave head to get ahead in life, she's totally, again, head underwater insofar as political prospects are for her career here. So we've got Donald Trump with 50.3% of the popular vote, with Kamala Harris getting 47.8%. Again, that is Kamala's 75.7 million to Trump's 79.7 million. Also, keep in mind that this is still less votes than what Joe Biden got in 2020, believe it or not, if you want to give him credit for anything. But let's look at the poly market results that are most recent as of today, Halloween. As you can see here with Georgia, you've got Donald Trump at 73.5% odds of winning that state. You also have North Carolina at 71.5%. You have Trump at 60% in Pennsylvania. You have him at 53% in Wisconsin. You have Trump at a 76% in Arizona. You've got the guy in Nevada with 65%. Now, let's look into some fringe possibilities. When it comes to Michigan, it's about dead even with Harris leading at 52.5%. If you look back to even a few days ago, the betting odds had Trump winning Michigan, so that's a pure toss-up if you're going by the betting market. But also, you look at, let's say, with Minnesota, Harris has an 86% chance of winning that one. You look at Virginia, she has an 83% chance. You see New Mexico, which Trump is having a rally at today, actually, in Albuquerque, I believe. 91% for Harris. You've got places like New Hampshire, 81% for Harris, too. So anyway, let's look into the rest of the map. If we look at the math backing why I say this, well, let's just look at what it dictates. So, for example, Trump would be winning Arizona in this scenario by about 6, Nevada by 5, Georgia by 8, North Carolina he'd be winning by 8.5, Pennsylvania by 5, Michigan by 4, Wisconsin by 5. Now, I don't think he'll win these by that much, but it's also because the swingometer, which is the program I use for this, is not the most accurate because it's taking national results, but then it's really hard to explain. But it's not going to work out exactly like this, but this is the best I can do to kind of give you a vague impression as to what it looks like. Now, looking at the news, though, the reason why Trump is doing so great, despite Tony Hinchcliffe kind of throwing a wrench in the campaign a few days ago at Madison Square Garden, Biden actually handed Trump a big W for no reason, where he basically called Trump supporters garbage, which is insane, right? Anyway, Donald Trump takes the opportunity to wear a garbage vest, like a custodian or whatever, a sanitary worker outfit, wears it on stage. Then he says something very powerful. He says that a president that does not love America cannot lead America. Something like that. And it's like, okay, well, this is very much a bipartisan unifying message. And again, this is Trump, who historically has been a pariah to half the country. But he's saying, you know what, actually, Joe Biden, the senile loser that he is calling y'all garbage. And then beside that, obviously, he just comes off as very presidential. And Trump has been chastised as this billionaire pompous whatever, but he's at least willing to put on the sanitation vest. And mind you, the comparison here, Kamala Harris would never be caught dead doing such a thing, despite her claiming she grew up in a middle-class family. Anyway, so the point being is that it's crazy. And so this is a complete optics W. Again, he's here, sanitation vest, and that's before the rally. Then beyond that, he goes and he's in the dumpster truck or whatever. Again, very good. He gets MAGA on the dumpster truck, and I think it's amazing. And this is all spur of the moment genius thinking from Trump, where he just comes up with this idea. He's the king of optics, really. I have a friend that works for the campaign here. They arranged this whole dumpster truck thing in like less than 24 hours. I mean, this is amazing. I'm laughing at the dog picture down here, but this is more good news. Nevada early vote on Wednesday. Okay, so this was yesterday. Republicans up 18,000 to the Democrats 12. So they're up about 5,500 votes. Again, independents will break for Trump. In fact, if we look at the Rasmussen numbers, So, as y'all notice here, Trump holds a 2-point popular vote lead over Harris according to Rasmussen reports, which is one of the two most accurate pollsters in 2020, the other one being Atlas Intel, which is an international firm. Rasmussen is American, though. Now, that's pretty good, obviously. Now, when you look at the independent vote, which is what I wanted to show you today, look at this, okay? So, if the 2024 election were between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Trump, who would you vote for? Well, Trump is leading independents 46% to Harris's 41%. But then beside that, they put someone else at 8% and not sure at 6. So I think even of those 14 at the bottom, they're probably going to break for Trump, frankly, or third party. Third party in this case being a left-wing libertarian and Chase Oliver, but then also Green Party socialist Jill Stein. Or on the off chance that Cornel West, who's like the black Bernie Sanders, is on the ballot in a given state, they'd also vote for him too. So that's boding well for Trump. But then besides, obviously, the headliner, baby, it's, hold on. So take a look here, right? So you lead by 5 with independents, and you're also leading in the early vote, and you also have election day vote that will be even more Republican than the early mail-in votes. This is all boding well for Trump. It's like really a three-peat, back to back to back, because think about it. A guy who wins independence in an election is winning 80% of the time, if not more than that. An exception being, let's say, 2004 with Bush and John Kerry. And you could argue the facts here because narrow leads are really hard to take into account. But so independent vote is likely a good thing for Trump. Again, so Democrats coping saying, "Oh well, Democrats are going to win the independents over abortion." Nope, because if they cared that much about abortion, they would have already voted for Kamala. And for them to come out election day as an independent and vote on abortion doesn't make sense because it's more convenient, obviously, to vote early in person or by mail. So, yes, Trump being up by 5 with independents is not only logical, I in fact think that it's lowballing Donald Trump. And so that's fantastic. In fact, remember, I think Joe Biden won independents by 9 points over Donald Trump. So for Donald to be up by 5, if anything, leads him to be about 15 spots better than where he was 4 years ago. It's great. If you recall my last upload, I was bragging about Republicans being up 40,000 in the early vote share. In Nevada, you go a couple days later, turns out that the early vote is up again. 44,408 total early votes for Republicans to the Democrats. Obviously, lesser than. And then independents at 229,000. Not too bad, not too shabby. Again, Republicans are about 90,000 ballots off. Better off than they were last election cycle, where the margin of victory for Joe Biden, I believe, was only 40,000. So more backing for y'all that think that I'm too overconfident in this election. North Carolina, for instance, you take a look. In 2020, Republicans were behind the Democrats in the in-person early vote plus mail vote, okay? They were behind Democrats by 7.3 points in 2020. You look at 24, Republicans are up by 1.3. So again, you're going from negative 7.3 if you're the GOP to positive 1.3 if you're the GOP. Therefore, you're up 8.6 over the last election cycle. Great news. And I forgot. Yeah, Trump won North Carolina in 2020. So if he's up another 8 points in the early vote, that's actually that's like more icing on the cake. You're gonna get nauseous. Amazing stuff. Pennsylvania mail return rate. You look day by day over the span of about 15 days, folks. October 16th to today, Halloween. Okay, the percentage rate has gone from Democrat on the net 8.9 to Democrat on the net 2.1. So it's been a steady, gradual decrease of the partisanship for the return rate of ballots. Sounds like a convoluted way of saying something pretty simple, but basically the bottom line is that the Democrats are losing vote share in the early vote, which again is supposed to be super Democrat. Democrats are supposed to be winning this and having double-digit numbers on a daily basis, but for this to be at a measly 2 points is freaking horrific. Horrific for Democrats. Okay, now, in 2020, you look at it, okay? Where is it? Over here. Okay, so you look at 2020, and we just peep over to the last election cycle. All right, so you look here. Joe Biden won the state of Pennsylvania by about 80,000 votes, okay? 80,000 votes and only by 1.2. Now, this is not great. Because obviously it was really close. Now, the context behind this win for Joe Biden is that obviously you look at this and the mail-in vote back then was 68 points Democrat, 22% Republican. But also the firewall meaning that there were 1.1 million more Democrats voting in the election and registered to vote, namely, than there were Republicans. And then Trump only was 80,000 votes from winning the whole state. So just take a look there. Now, you look at today, and now the Democrat mail-in vote is at 57 and Republicans are at 33. So from losing it 46% last time to now only losing it by 24, the Republicans have cut into the firewall of the Democrats that used to be 1.1 million to now 387,000. Okay, so now they're down to about a third of what it was before. So the reserves are bleeding out, and beside that, obviously when they're down, let's say 700,000 ballots, they're not making it up with getting like they would need 20% of independents to vote for Kamala or something crazy like that. And so shifting this mail-in vote by 22% is fantastic news. So don't let any sort of like layman understanding tell you that, oh, Democrats are still up 20% in the early vote in Pennsylvania. It's like, well, it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be that way. All right, so anyway, that's great news. All right, now looking into the white and black turnout in Georgia. Again, we're getting all the info for today, folks. You'll notice that yeah, okay, this is just so good for Republicans, I think, because think about it. The amount of white people that voted more than black people in Georgia in 2016 was 6.2, 2020 was 6.4. Nowadays, it's 13.1. So again, black turnout is atrophying at levels we wouldn't have expected, frankly. Black people voted more for Hillary Clinton, voted more for Joe Biden than for Kamala Harris, who's supposed to be the person of color here. It just kind of shows the discontent, mainly amongst the young black men that are seeing the game for what it is. And I think also it kind of explains why I think they sent Obama to scold young black men in Georgia, because they knew their internal numbers showed this sort of factor that, actually Kamala's getting destroyed. Ironic that, oh, Trump is this race, oh my God, but he's doing better with black people. And the black turnout is falling off a cliff, which is horrible for Democrats, as black people are I was going to say the blackbone, but the backbone of their voting. So that's crazy. Now, according to the New York Times and Siena Battleground State polling, which is, again, more liberally slanted than it is neutral, you'll notice that of people that have not voted before, they're voting for Trump by 19 points on the net, which is fantastic. Usually, I think in 2016, Trump won the vote of people that hadn't participated in an election before by, I don't know, 3 or 5%. He's up by almost 20. Again, this is the whole early vote thing, okay, where they're getting turning point to chase ballots and get low propensity voters to come out and vote from their house. This is why that was so important, and that's great to see. Now, in 2020, of people that that voted in that election, Trump is winning that vote by 12 points. Think about it. Joe Biden won the 2020 election by over 4 percentage points in the popular vote. Yet, apparently, according to this, Trump is up by 12 points in that. So that is a 16-point shift at least. So that's nuts. That's nuts. All right, so Arizona early vote update. Again, I'm in the state. It finally, and you know what, day over day, just in Halloween, and like the temperature drops like 20 degrees. So now we're at 60 degrees. It used to be like 90. But all right, anyway. Early vote update. All right, so we, and by we, I'm a Republican, are up to 828,000 early votes, whereas the Democrats are at 674,000 votes. And keep in mind this, okay? There's plenty of independents, but they will break for Trump, trust me. And so look at this. Republicans are up by 154,000 votes. This was 140,000 yesterday. So if we're going up 14,000 votes a day, that's insane. We're up in Maricopa County by 100,000 votes. Again, that is a county really that Biden flipped in 2020. Biden won Maricopa by 2.2. The margin of victory in Maricopa was clearly not 100,000. So Republicans are on track to flip Maricopa and likely to win the election outright just off of that basis, let alone the other 54,000 votes scattered amongst other parts of the state, including Pima, where I live right now. Anyway, so this is great. And also, there's already 2 million votes baked into the cake. And what I mean is that that's actually a good portion of the vote already cast. And that's great because Trump's already winning it by a ton already. And then the election day vote will be even more positive, believe it or not. So this is all fantastic news, frankly. And by the way, I already voted in person early at my university. So you can't complain to me like, oh, you didn't vote. So Another good thing, you might be saying, oh, you're killing me. I'm getting tired of winning. Frankly, I'm getting tired of winning, folks. But I'm going to rub it in the face of all the liberals. So let's just enjoy this while we have it. Okay, percentage of male voters, not male as in men, but male as in sending a ballot in Pennsylvania that are low propensity. And this is defined by not having voted in the last 3 elections per party. 21% of Republicans are low propensity voters. Democrats at 16%. So Republicans are on the net with 5% higher low propensity voters. That is a big correlation between, or sorry, has a large correlation with getting new voters, because people that are low propensity are new voters because they don't vote often. So these are like outside gains that doesn't affect anything else. So when people talk about, oh, they're cannibalizing the votes, the Republicans are ahead because on election day they won't turn out. No, they will turn out virtually everybody they did in 2020. Plus, again, that extra 5% that they didn't have last time. Early in-person voting, baby. I love it. So in about those 16 minutes, I explained to you why my prediction of Trump getting 312 or maybe 13 electoral votes, give or take one, because obviously of Nebraska's 2nd district I didn't look into right now. I explained why it makes sense why my prediction is completely correct. And if anything, I'm underscoring and really lowballing President Trump because obviously I think he has an outside chance of picking up a state like Virginia, a state like Minnesota, a state like New Hampshire, a state like New Mexico. I mean, look at the margins here. New Mexico by 3, Minnesota by 1.5, Virginia by 3, New Hampshire by 1.7. We'll see. We'll see how this works out. But there's a decent chance he'll flip one of those states, and I'd be so happy if he did expand the map. But he will flip Nevada most likely over 2020 and 16. And like the video if you haven't liked it yet. Subscribe if you haven't yet for more content. And comment down below if you have any suggestions. And do you want me to put on the Batman mask? Because it is the Halloween episode. This looks a lot worse than what I was expecting, frankly. This is because of the headphones. It makes it feel weird, right? It looks kind of like Donnie Darko, the movie. Okay, I'll do a crappy impression of Batman, okay? I'm completely right about my predictions, okay? Read down, Joker. Okay, I'm sorry. Adios.